Hi, this is Catherine. In my tip today, I would like to share with you 8 principles that I've identified that are useful principles, that is, guides for approaching job interviews. And conveniently, these have sorted themselves out to create an acronym, which is the EPIC acronym, with 2 principles for each of the letters in the word epic. So let me share with you these principles. So the first in E for epic is elevated. So this principle is the principle to actually take the interview question that you're asked and elevate it up to the most powerful version of it. So that is to look at each question that you are asked by the interviewer or the panel, and to see behind it for the value that the topic of the question has for the people who are asking it. And so to see beyond just what the question is to the reason why they would be asking that question. Okay, so elevate the question up to its most powerful version. The second E is for evidence. And what this principle is about is the principle to remind you that the panel, the interviewer, is looking for your evidence. They have their criteria, they have what they want to know about you, and it's your job to give them actual evidence that convinces them, that proves for them, that is evidential that you have the skill, or you have the knowledge, or you have the experience that they're asking about. Okay, as opposed to giving motherhood statements, as opposed to saying, well, I always do this, and this. Give them actual examples. Examples are great evidence. Okay, stories of when you have actually done something. Okay, so there are 2 for our E of EPIC. Elevate the question and give evidence. Let's now move on to the P. So our third principle is that of positive. Okay, so assume the most positive frame for a question. Now, often interview panels, interviewers will ask you negatively framed questions. They'll ask you to tell them about a time when something went wrong. They'll ask you to tell you about, ask them to tell them about a conflict that may have occurred. They'll ask you to tell you, like, what would you do if something goes off track? Now, though that negative framing will result in you giving a more negative question. Whereas if you see beyond the negative frame to the positive element of the question, so if it is a question about conflict, then the positive element is good workplace relationships. So answer the positive element, and you will actually cover off on the negative element anyway. Okay, so assume the most positive frame for the question, regardless of how it is worded. The second P is pace. Okay, don't rush yourself. Pace your answers. Take the time that you need at the beginning of the interview or at the beginning of the question. So before you start talking, take your time to gather your thoughts. Then give each of your points clearly and succinctly. Don't be afraid to pause between giving ideas. And then at the end of answering your question, again, pause. Say something along the lines of, oh, let me just reflect now that I've actually given you all that I want to give you in the context of that answer. So take the time, pace your answer. Okay. So in P, the principles are elevate up to the most positive context for the question and pace yourself, pace the answers that you give. So moving now on to the I of these 8 EPIC principles for answering interview questions. The first of our I's is insight. Okay, and what I mean by this principle is that your job in the interview is to allow the panel insight into your thinking. They want you to open your brain and give them an insight into the way that you think, the way that you approach things, the who you are as a person. Let them see inside your head and inside your heart. That's why they are interviewing you, to get an insight into who you are as a person. Our second I is for imperfect. Now, there is no perfect interview question answer. There is only your answer. And the uniqueness of you, the things that differentiate you, the things that have you stand out from all the other applicants, they are the things that will create the answer that you give. So there is no perfect answer to be given. There is only your answer. And your answer is what gives them an insight into who you are as a person and what you are capable of doing for them. Okay, so don't be afraid of the imperfect answer, because there is no perfect answer. So for I, our 2 principles are insight. Okay, give them an insight into who you are as a person, and don't look for the perfect answer. There is no perfect answer. There is only your unique imperfect answer. Now, for our C of our 8 principles, and the first C is close. Okay, what this principle means is bring your answer close. What I will often hear as I do lots of interview practice with people is a tendency to push their answer away, to create answers that are in the hypothetical. And the key way people do this is through using you, them, your language, as opposed to using I and me language. A closer answer that will come across as much more authentic is something along the lines of, as a leader, I believe. Okay, so one is a push away, the other is a pull close. Pull your answers close. Okay. And again, give them that insight into who you are. Now, our final principle in our C's and for our epic principles is candid. Okay, candid. Be authentic. Be genuine. Create connection, not perfection. Show up as the truest version of yourself that you can be. Okay, so our C's are bring your answers close and be candid. So our 8 epic principles for approaching interview questions are elevate the question up to its most valuable version. Evidence, give evidence of what you are capable of doing. P for positive. Frame your answers and even their questions in their most positive format. P for pace yourself. Don't rush through your answers. Take the time that you need. I for insight. Give them an insight into your thinking and your approach. And I for imperfect. Don't think that you have to be giving the perfect answer, because there is no perfect answer. And C for close. Bring your answers close rather than push them away. And your final C, candid. Be authentic, be genuine, create connection. Have fun with your next interview. Bye for now.